With new developments, how will the city support the infrastructure and community needs that follow expansion?
So, as you know, when you do development, then the taxes that you're getting off of those new residents and those new houses and those developers coming in, um, we think that, well, what we do is we gain the taxes from that. So that's why normally you see development and housing go up first before you see expansion of roads, because they're hoping that the taxes that they receive will then be able to help with the infrastructure. That, to me, at this point in time, I think that citizens are saying, hey, let's take the infrastructure we already have and let's come in and let's either expand or um, make them the pathways even like our roadways. Let's take care of what we have first before we add on. And in agreement with that. I really do believe that we should, the sewer system, the water system, we need to first take care of what we already have right now. I think that's the season we're in. Before, when the previous board were in place, the infrastructure that they have so lovely done, we needed that. And in that time, we needed the development to, but right now, the season we're in, we need to maybe taper that development, heavy development, and let's work on what we already have. Let's work on the neighborhoods that we already have that would love to see their communities have new roads paved. Let's work on sidewalks expansion. Let's just work on what we have right now before we start trying to develop and have it taken care of what we already pre-exist that is pre-existing.
Always going to be that question, of course. And I think Ackworth's actually doing a decent job, the current leadership. So for the, and one thing you're going to hear throughout this interview is be sure you educate yourself. You be an educated consumer as a citizen of Ackworth, because it's pretty important, because it is your tax dollars. So 2022 SPLOST, which has already started, is that tax money is primarily, if not exclusively, going toward infrastructure, and that's stormwater infrastructure, the sewers, and we live on two lakes, right? One lake actually, but two lakes, and that's where our runoff is going. Goes to infrastructure and to the pavement of the streets. We grew fast, we grew vigorously, and our roads, just, it's not that we didn't pay attention, it's just with the growth all around, that our roads got in pretty bad shape. And I think there's very few people, unless your road just got repaved recently, and there's some roads that are already starting to be repaved from 2022, and some of the CBDG grants and other things, other money coming in. But if not, my personal road, it's almost like a gravel road. It's so broken up. Okay, so the money is there. It won't do everything. And one thing that I want to do is city councils be sure and play a part of prioritizing, what money of 2022 SPLOST is spent and how it is spent, so that we hit the most highly trafficked areas and those kind of things. So you're going to get that. You're going to continue on the commercial side of property taxes. You're going to continue to bring in an increased tax base on that, just by escalation of properties. And I'll talk a little bit about the residential side of that, because there's another question coming up related to that. But the money's going to be there. It's just a matter of prioritizing that and not getting behind again. I don't blame anybody for how we got behind on our roads, because we were focused on some other very critical things and growth things. But we've got to get it back to par, and we've got to keep it that way. And I think the path is there. The revenue, probably 75% of the revenue we need is there, and there's some other ways to bring in that revenue, but there's a plan in place and it's working. But I want to be part of the decision on prioritization.
One thing I'd forgotten to mention about the affordable housing or workforce housing was that we strive to also have a commercial base that can help subsidize some of our different things. We need places for people to be able to work. And so as we look at the businesses and as we look at the infrastructure, that's how we help to maintain that, is that we use our commercial tax base, we use our SPLOST dollars to be able to do infrastructure. Now, our city is unique. Our roads were designed to be horse and buggy roads. They were not designed for big trucks. They were not designed even for four-wheel trucks. And so whenever we look at our cities and trying to expand the width of our roads and put sidewalk and gutter, those cost money and they take time. But by using, the SPLOST dollars and using capital funds that are through our federal government, we can do that. We just need to make sure that we are doing it in a timely manner, and more importantly, an affordable manner, so that we're not going over budget and we're trying to look after our citizens. Part of that infrastructure also includes our power department. Our power department has won awards for their ability to be able to come in, and if your power is out, we're talking a couple of hours, they're going to have you back up. They're replacing power poles as they need, but that's part of that city government and that city leadership, this staff that we have, and the current council members we have, being able to look in the future and say, in the next 5 years, we're going to need to replace these roads. These streets have still never had curb and gutter. We need to budget and we need to plan for that, and then trying to prioritize that while also maintaining that commercial aspect, because that's how we help to get our fees and our taxes to be able to afford to do our infrastructure.
Well, first of all, unless our infrastructure is already in place, growing is going to needs to be restricted. I'll give you an example. I went to Morrow High School, Clayton County, and they put an exit ramps on Mount Zion Boulevard, right? And when they did, there was just a bunch of woods. And so they put the entrance and exit ramps. There's a 2-lane road. Next thing you know, Home Depot comes, Lowe's comes, Walmart comes. And when all that stuff, the traffic it made it impossible to go anywhere in that area. So the infrastructure definitely has to be looked at first. And then once we assure that our infrastructure can do it, then we can talk about the options for development. But right now, our infrastructure in our city is not ready to handle anything more than what we have. The other option is that when businesses come in and they want to build or expand, then they need to be responsible for upgrading that infrastructure. It shouldn't be on the citizens of Acworth to pay for their improvements. The stormwater management tax that we're getting, developers, some of these developers need to be paying the largest share of that instead of the citizens of Acworth. Yes, it's necessary, but I do believe that if I want to come in here as a business owner and I want to build something, that I need to be held responsible to make sure that people can actually get to my place of business.